right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Erin Creighton. I'm the Adult Services Department Head and Assistant Branch Manager for the Fredericksburg branch of the Central Rappahannock Regional Library. Today, I am happy to be joined, as always, for our Wealth Wednesdays by Lamont Brown. Lamont is the owner and wealth manager of Alna Wealth Management here in Fredericksburg, and he's here to talk to us about, kind of an end of the year wrap up. Like, let's review what we did financially and what we can do for next year, right?
Yes,
Thank you so much for
definitely.
being here.
I'm looking forward to this. 12:10. This morning, I woke up with a special thing on my mind. I looked back at the year, the date 12:10, and I remembered that many years ago, this was the first day that I showed up to boot camp and began my Marine Corps journey that got me to where I am today. This was a day where I reflected on everything that had happened, but most importantly, I look forward to the future ahead. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to reflect on exactly what happened in 2025. We're going to then take some time out to prepare for 2026. And then we're going to set an action to make sure that we are more successful in 2026 than we were in 2025. So without further delay, let's move forward, Aaron. So, a review is the most important part of this whole step. You have to understand what has exactly happened so that you can make those adjustments. If you don't know what happened, it's very hard to make adjustments. And you don't know what you're adjusting or whether or not this is going to have a positive or negative impact on your overall financial future. So, today we're going to start with that quick review. Let's get started. This is where it all starts. You heard it here first. It starts with cash, knowing how much came into your household, how much you saved, how much you spent on living expenses, how much you spent on debt is the most important question you're going to ask yourself. And then you want to start digging into the details and asking that next level question is, did my spending align with what I set out to do this last year? If I set out to save $1,000 and I only have 990, did I hit my goal? Well, no, you didn't, but it's a good move in the right direction. You want to be asking the question is, did my spending align? Did I hit all of my spending goals? Or did I have unexpected increases in spending? So over the last year, a couple things happened in my household. I had an unexpected expense here. I ended up going on the travel was not unexpected, but I ended up going on some travel here and there. And I want to know when those things happen, was I prepared? Because the next year I'm going to be even better and I'm going to be better than I was this year. And then you want to ask this question. Did my lifestyle creep? Did I buy too many extra of those things? Did I go and do more than I thought I should have? Did I buy a nicer this than I should have? Did I spend more eating out than I had anticipated? These are the questions you want to start to ask yourself because you may have that realization that maybe I need to adjust my budget or maybe I need to just adjust my spending. But this is where it starts. It starts in this review period where we're just noted, got it. I understand what happened here, but you have to start with understanding. From there, this is the one I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to say it another 10 times next year, as you can probably attest to, is that we want to look at the canary in the coal mine. And I call the emergency fund that exactly, the canary in the coal mine. Because when you have a fully funded emergency fund, things can happen and you can be completely prepared for it. But when your emergency fund is lacking, what happens? You're always on edge. You're not feeling comfortable about things. It's because the emergency fund will drive a lot of the decisions you make and a lot of the things you have to deal with. If I have a fully funded emergency fund, I don't need debt to go out and pay for a replacement of this or replacement of that. I have the money there to do that. And that's where I want to be prepared. The other thing is that emergency fund is going to give you that protection against Murphy. And whenever Murphy knocks, I never answer the door because why? I have an emergency fund. So you want to look at your emergency fund and you want to ask the question, how many months did I have when 2025 started? And how many months of spending do I have at the end of 2025? Did it go up? Did it go down? and you just want to know that number. You don't want to do anything at this point. You just want to know, did it go up? Did it go down? And then from there, you want to think about, did I meet my savings goal? Did I set out to hit that $1,000 a month or $1,000 in a year? Did I meet it? Yes or no? Quick answer. And you want to note all these things. This is going to be information that we're going to use later on to set our strategy for the year ahead. So now we've done this, we reviewed our cash. Let's move on to the next one. Now, here's where the fun part. This is all the good stuff, the investments. We want to look at our investments and we want to look at and see what has changed. At the beginning of a year, your portfolio probably came into the year structured a certain way. Case in point, you came into the year and you said, I wanted to have 60% stocks and 40% bonds. That's not a recommendation. That's just what I started out with this year. So I came into the year knowing I wanted to have 60% stocks and 40% bonds. Well, over the course of the year, stocks have gone up and bonds have gone up. Well, what's happened? They're probably not exactly 60-40 anymore. So I want to know that. I want to know, how much did my allocation change over the course of the year? This is going to be something you want to know. If it's more than this, you may want to make a decision. If it's less than this, you may want to be making a decision, and you want to look at it from this eye. Did I increase my risk? Or did I reduce my risk over the course of the year by all of these shifts in my portfolio? Then I want to look at my contributions and ask the simple question, did I max out my contributions over the course of the year? Did I hit my savings rates? Did I do everything that I thought I was going to do over the course of the year for my investments? This is strictly for my investments. If you did, good on you. Noted. If you didn't, you want to note that too and start to think about that when we get into the next phase of this. From there, you want to look at your concentration. Concentration is that thing where you say, okay, I have stock, and this one stock is a large portion of my portfolio. If something happens to this one stock, my whole portfolio is going to go away or go down significantly. This is the point where you're going to note any concentrations. And this is a great time to do that because this last year, there's a lot of things that have gone up. Some of those positions that started out as a lower percentage of your portfolio at the beginning of the year, now they're probably a much larger percentage of your portfolio. And this is the point where you want to note that and put it in your bag of things to think about as we go through the rest of this planning process. So we've done our cash, we've done our investments. Let's shift to taxes next. Here's our tax review. And taxes, we're going to review them a little bit differently because you still have time to make changes that can impact taxes for 2025, could reduce taxes long term, and or you can support great causes that you care about. And you still have until the end of the month to do all of these things. So to reduce taxes over the course of for 2025, you could potentially contribute more to your pre-tax contributions in your 401k, or you can put money away in a traditional IRA. All these things are meant to reduce your taxes for 2025. You can also make catch-up contributions. All of this is done to reduce your taxes in 2025. Now, looking beyond 2025 and making those long-term decisions for yourself, you still have room in the year to do Roth conversion. That's where you take a traditional IRA and convert it to a Roth IRA. This may be the opportunity for you, as you know how much you made this year, and you can kind of talk to your tax professional and say, hey, is this a good year for me to consider doing a Roth conversion, considering I'm in the 12% tax bracket or I'm in the 22% tax bracket and I want to do those things? You want to ask that question now because you still have another 21 days until the end of the year. Now, it's not all 21 working days, but you do have time to still potentially reduce taxes over your lifetime. And then there's the backdoor Roth contributions that you are eligible for also. This is a great opportunity to consider all of that. Then finally, supporting great causes, this is a time where you can look at where you are in the year and say, I really want to support X. You can still make contributions to donor advised funds. You can still do qualified charitable distributions. You could still do annual gifting to family members or anyone you care about. And you can do it all right now before the end of the year. So tax review is a little bit looking forward, but you're also putting yourself in a better position for 2026. Next, now we've done everything. We've done our cash, we've done our savings, we've done our investments, we've done our taxes. Now we're going to get into the area. We're going to ask a hard question. Is my family protected? Was there anything that changed over the course of 2025 that has either changed the level of risk you have or reduced the level of risk you had? This could be a loss of a loved one. This could be the addition of a loved one. This could be the addition of a house. All of these things are what you're looking to find where there might be a mismatch between how much coverage you have and how much coverage you need. You want to ask those questions and focus on this death, disability, and loss of income. Life insurance, you're reviewing it to make sure it still covers the risk that you initially set it out to cover. You want to ask that question. When I first started out, I had this so that my kids could go to college. When I got, if something happened to me, well, both of my kids have graduated college. Do I still need this coverage? Well, that's a question you got to ask, but that's what happens during this review. You want to be looking at all of the things that have happened over the course of the year and bouncing them off the idea of, am I covered and is my family protected if something happens in the next year? So we've done those things. Now let's move forward to our estate. Next. You want to break out that document. You want to dust it off and you want to ask the simple and hard question is, have there been any life events over the course of the year that would change or have me adjust this? Is this document up to date? Does my will, power of attorney, or healthcare directive need to be changed because my relationships have changed, because people are no longer in my life for whatever reason? Are my beneficiaries correct? One of the things that I see happen more than I care to remember is people forget those previous employer 401k plan beneficiaries. The job where when you didn't have your kids, you started out, you put some money there, it's been sitting there for the last 20 years. Many of us forget that account still exists. And then we even forget even more that our child wasn't there or we weren't married at the time, and we need to go back and address that. This is a time to lay it all out on the table, look at that statement and ask, are my beneficiaries in order so that I can make sure that if something happens, everything's taken care of? We've done the hard part now. Now we're going to move forward to making decisions, but we've looked at our cash and savings. We've looked at our investments. We looked at our taxes. We've examined our risk, and we've also looked at our estate. Now, this is the forward look. And I'm going to tell you, I like to think of this as a pyramid. The pyramid is simple. It starts at the bottom and goes all the way to the top, but this is an order. First, we want to build our foundation on cash and savings. Good cash management and savings practices will make all these other things a lot more easier to deal with. Not go away, but easier to deal with. From there, we want to be thinking about how are we going to grow what we've saved so far, and that's where our investments are. And then taxes, how can we be more efficient and not give as much as we can and tip the IRS? We want to make sure we're minimizing where we can. And then finally, we want to make sure it's all protected by our risk and estate plan. So let's get started from there. For our cash and savings, as we start to prepare for the new year, we want to think about 4 things that we could potentially do. But the first one is mandatory. This is something that I recommend everyone do right now. Don't pass go. Make sure you get this done and get it done before the end of the week. All right. Before to finish that up, I felt like my mother at this point. But anyway, a great person, keeps me honest. But anyway, we map out all of our predictable expenses. Okay, here's a secret. Holidays and birthdays are predictable. We know exactly when those things are happening, and we want to be prepared for all of those so that no one in your family has to go through that period where you say, I didn't get a chance to save for you this year. You want to map this out right now. You want to also map out vacations, conferences, trips, anything that you know is going to happen. Also, map out any expenses. If you know in January of next year you're going to go out and spend this on your home, you want to map that out. You want to create a whole calendar. My wife and I spend about 3 weeks actually mapping out everything and then starting to allocate and put money to each one of those things and starting to figure out how we're going to make this happen. Most years we start out with the first question, how are we going to make this happen? And by the end of the year, we made it happen because we were prepared and we knew what was coming up down the road. It helps to level set the whole household and make sure that when you spend in January, you know that it may be impacting what you're going to do in June, but it forces you to now put it all on paper. Then you want to make a decision about your debt. And this is going to be a tough conversation that you need to sit Mr. Debt down and you want to talk to him directly or her directly and say, Mr. Debt, you're not ending the year with me. You definitely want to do that conversation. And you want to decide on which one of those debts you're going to get rid of. And you want to get rid of them and do it in a planned out way. If you're going to increase it from the start now. From there, you want to decide on your savings rate. I'm here to tell you it's December 10th, 2025, and you made it. If over the course of the year you had a period where your cash was building up, then that's an opportunity for you to really look at your savings and potentially increase your savings. So you want to be thinking about it from that perspective. If I felt comfortable all throughout the year, then maybe I can add a little bit more into my 401k, or maybe I can add a little bit more to my savings account to make sure that when this time changes, that I'm prepared. So you want to look at making a decision on how much you should increase your savings rate. And then finally, you want to rebuild or increase your emergency fund. If during the review you realize you only had 2.5 months of savings set aside for emergency, this is the time to decide and make a plan to make sure by the end of 2026 that you have how many months? 6 months set aside for your emergency fund. That's just the first part of these actions. So we're going to map out our predictable expenses. We're going to decide on debt. We're going to decide on our savings, and we're going to increase or rebuild our emergency fund. Now, here we go. We're going to the next one. All right, we're at investments. I love this part. I don't know why, but this is my part, right? And the first one brings me to this thought. Every time the airplane. So recently, I'm out on this airplane and I'm getting ready to go into the airport. Is getting ready to land, and the flight attendant comes over the airwaves and he says, "Be careful opening those overhead bins because things have shifted." Now, I want you to take that thought and I want you to hear my voice in your mind. Be careful of your portfolio because things have shifted. At this point, you want to look at your portfolio and see what shifts have happened. A lot of times, your stocks are growing faster than your bonds. And so your portfolio risk may be completely different than what you planned it out to be. And it may be appropriate. It may be completely inappropriate for where you are in your life. This is the point where you want to be careful because things have shifted and you want to make that decision about how you're going to make those adjustments for the year ahead. From there, you want to look at updating your contributions, your 401k. This is the time to take a look at that. You want to look at the contributions you were making last year and see if you're on that plan where it's going to automatically increase by 1%, or bump it up again. Those are opportunities right now that you can take to prepare for the year ahead. And then from there, back to the concentration. If there was a concentration, this is the point where you're going to make those decisions to reduce the concentration by selling off a piece of it or completely eliminating the position if that's what you want to do. But you want to start to think about that and make those decisions. So we've done cash and savings, we've done investments. Let's go forward to our taxes. Now, this is one of those things where you have the opportunity now to set yourself up so that you can max out your 401k without it being as much as if you wait until the end of the year. Because as you know, through your employer, you're contributing on a monthly basis. Well, if you have 12 months, it's going to be a much smaller payment if you start it off now. So this is the time where you take the moment and go into your employer 401k and say, hey, I want to increase my percent. You want to review income timing. This is important for people who are receiving bonuses throughout the year. And when you receive a bonus, normally in February, March for some companies, you want to make sure that you're prepared for that with withholding and decisions on how much of that's going to go into your 401k so that you're not surprised. You know when it happens, so be prepared. And then you want to consider charitable strategies for the year. If you know you're going to be doing required minimum distributions this next year, how much of that are you going to send to your charity or causes you care about? You want to plan for that in January or right now. Next, we're going to go into our estate and tax. We're going to review and update our documents. These are things that you can do now and things that you should be doing now if your documents are out of date. If one of your children is not mentioned in your documents, they're out of date and you need to adjust them. If you haven't looked at them and relationships have changed, you want to review them and adjust them. Now, from there, you want to take and break out all your accounts, your 401ks, previous employer 401k, and all of those things. And you want to review your life insurance beneficiaries to make sure everything is correct. I don't know how many times I've seen this where after someone passes away, there's always this loan account that doesn't have a beneficiary assigned, and it takes 3 to 6 months to get it transferred over. It's one of those things that you don't want to have your significant other or those you care about dealing with after you've passed away. And this is where that comes in. You want to also assess your insurance coverages. Are you going to be changing this next year? Or is your life insurance correct? Should you change your life insurance? Should you adjust your disability because your income has gone up and you want to make sure it covers more? You want to be thinking about those things as you look forward to the next year. And then you want to update for planning. If there's planned additions to the family over the next year, maybe you need to take out more insurance. Maybe you don't. If there's people that are now graduated college and you don't need to cover them anymore, then you might need to consider those things. We've done a lot. We've covered the review of the previous year. We've covered the actions we're going to take this next year, but we haven't done the most important thing next. You can accomplish anything by simply doing it. Nothing will get done unless you do it. That's simple and plain. You've listened to this and you've listened to me talk and run through this. I want you to take action. And I want you to take the actions that are going to put you in a better position next year than you are this year. So next step, we're going to build a Big Four one-pager right now while we're sitting here. So I'm going to ask you the question, what one action are you going to take as it relates to your cash and savings over the next 12 months? You could increase your savings. You could reduce your expenses. You could pay off debt. All of those are cash or savings. You could increase your emergency fund. All of those are things you can do. Which one of those four are you going to do over the next year? Number 2, investment actions. You could rebalance your portfolio. You could increase your contributions to your investment account. You could reduce your concentration. Which one are you going to do? Taxes. You can increase your contributions to your retirement plan to reduce your taxes. You can increase contributions to IRAs and things like that to reduce taxes. You could increase your charitable giving to have an impact on your taxes. You could do all these things to reduce your taxes. Which one are you going to do? Then finally, risk and estate. You could adjust your beneficiaries, get your estate plan in order. You could change or increase or decrease your insurances based on your needs. You could change or increase your disability insurance based on your needs. Which one of these four things? Well, which one of those things are you going to do in all these four categories over the next year? And like I said before, all of this is for nothing if you don't take those actions that you need to take in order to put yourself in a better place. Next slide. I'm always here to answer questions. And if you have any questions or anything prompted a conversation with yourself that you want to have with me, please don't hesitate to reach out. I can be reached via email or just call me directly. I'm open, and I hope you have a productive holiday season and a great new year. Now,
well, Lamont, thank you so much for that. That was fabulous. Honestly, the forethought that you put into planning for the next year inspired me, and I know it inspired our community too.
Yeah, next year we have one coming up. The annual calendar. We're building an annual financial calendar come January. So I'd love to see you come out and learn more about that. But
I'm looking forward to it. And I second yours. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season and thinks about taking some of those actions that he recommended. Some of them are so straightforward and easy to do. You just have to set aside the time and actually do it.
Yep. You got to do it. You got to take the action. I mean, it's simple and everyone knows the right things they need to be doing, but you
got to do it.
You just got to do it.
You just got to do it. All right. Well, thank you so much and have a happy new year, everybody. And we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.